This is the Effing Business Podcast. You ask the questions, we answer.
Aaron, Vince, want to talk about Tesla closing all their stores, going online only. Is this a trend we're going to see? Is this just
I think
Tesla?
it's a really smart move.
Or could cars do this cross board?
I think it's a really smart move, but it's specific to Tesla for sure, but each situation, right? So Tesla has enough brand recognition. They didn't always, right? So remember you were in the mall and you walked by Tesla store, shop,
Like, what's
whatever.
that car doing
You're
in
like,
that
oh,
store?
wow, that's Tesla. Like, I've heard about them. And you went in and you kind of looked around and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool, right? They're way past that. They have tremendous brand recognition, right? So if they look at their numbers and they're seeing that they're not making sales through their store,
And they're
so
doing
that's
it online anyway.
Correct. That's just hurting their overhead,
Right.
Like why continue to carry that expense? So I think this move can work for a lot of companies, but I don't think it's as simple as Chevy and Ford and all those other companies just doing it. Tesla's very specific. They make electric cars.
Do you think it's
They
because
make
of their
high-end electric
demographics?
cars.
Like it's like, it's not, I don't want to say techie people or millennials, but it's like people who are in that space.
Yes, the people who are buying Teslas don't have to touch and feel to buy.
So you're saying
they trust
that
buying on the internet.
That demographic feels okay with buying a car over the internet, never touching it, never seeing it,
Yes.
knowing that it's going to come up the way it is in the description, and if it isn't, they'll return it.
Yes. I think with the other cars that are all basically the same, the Chevys and Toyotas and Fords and all those kind of cars, they're all in the same classes. I think they're going to have a harder time moving away from the traditional model. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, right? When you go to shop for a car, the average person is comparing 2 or 3 cars. They're trying to get an idea which car. We did this today. You and I did this today about getting a car for an employee, right? We wanted to get a hybrid. We talked about different ones. We'll consider both. When you're going to buy a Tesla, at this point in time, there isn't competition. You're not weighing, do I get a Tesla or do I get whatever the other one is? You're getting a Tesla. And if you're not doing them in their stores, it's just costing them money that they don't need to spend.
When you're looking for a fully electric, a luxury car, I mean, I guess there's that one, and also I think Fisker makes, but that's
but Fisker, I just actually watched this whole thing on them. They almost went out of business, and then somebody else bought them and restarted them and all that kind of stuff.
But they're more of like a sports model. They're not
either way.
They don't have an SUV.
They appear to be much further behind Tesla on this, right? So until it gets to a point where there's all these competitors in the field and people are really considering them, they could come back to the store model, right? But in the meantime, there isn't a need for it apparently. Why carry that expense? And with Tesla, you know how they bleed money, right? Their burn rate is very high. Here's something that we don't have to spend money on.
Do you think
it was necessary when they started?
Do you think it's away from it? Do you think companies in that same type of demographic that doesn't have to touch and feel everything about either the product or the service, try to figure out how to be more online based completely?
Sure, absolutely,
and not be fully on either in a store or having an office altogether.
Again, I think you have to have unique circumstances, right? So you have to have a really strong brand. Tesla has that. You don't need to touch and feel. And the way the buyer buys you, they don't buy you through the supermarket, right? So like Coca-Cola has a really strong brand. You don't have to touch and feel, but nobody's going to buy it online, right? You're not going to have a huge amount of sales online. You buy it in the supermarket, right?
I mean, people are buying it, but just through Amazon, right? So people are buying Coke.
Okay, so the people who aren't buying their beverages in the stores to begin with are still buying a Coke and so forth on Amazon and other online retailers. But if you're in the supermarket already, you're probably not thinking, hey, I'm not going to buy that in Publix or your local supermarket. You're going to buy, I'll buy that online. You're there, you're going to buy it.
So the reason why I think that it won't happen with other models, right? Like Ford, Toyota, so on and so forth, is they have a distributor model, right? So
which
Toyota
was something that Tesla got sued for because they circumvented that.
Right. So they don't have a distributor model where they're sending it to a car dealership and so on, and the car dealership sells their product, where it's the car dealership sells their product for them and they just send it out to them and they just brand basically. Right. So the question is really, can other companies, let's say, it would have to be a large company, but let's say Coca-Cola, for example. Does Coca-Cola go away from pushing out their product to distributors to then put it in stores?
Right.
And do they sell direct to consumer on Amazon, right? And create a fulfillment center for themselves? They can sure do it. Or do they continue to stay with the distributor model and say, you know what, let's not get our hands dirty in the trenches. Let's just ship it out to distributors, let them sell the product, let them get their hands dirty.
The thing is, I think that a massive amount of Coke sales happen at store level, whereas with Tesla, it wasn't. Here's one that I think might be better. Apple. I know Apple has stores and they're famous for their stores and they do a lot of sales through the stores.
Right.
But like most people buying Apple products aren't hemming and hawing. Do I want an Apple? Do I want to?
They want an Apple.
They want an Apple.
Right.
So maybe if they pushed more online sales,
Right.
and away from the store, they can reduce, their internal overhead.
Would they reduce it, or would it are they going to close stores? They don't really have a lot of stores in the first place.
I imagine Apple has a lot of stores now.
They do. They have a lot of stores. But like Tesla, there's probably more Tesla stores in the Tri-County area, like where we are,
right
in South Florida, compared to how many Apple stores there are in South Florida.
You need to have a lot of things line up for you in a very specific way to do what Tesla is doing.
So do small business owners figure out how to do this? Right, because I think that's.
I think that's hard because I think one of the ingredients here, or key ingredients, is brand. And how many small business owners have like that kind of brand?
I think there's a good amount. Now it may not be on a nationwide, but in their community, right? In their community, they have a brand, right? So like,
but how do you have a brand in your community without having a presence, without having that store? Do you have a storefront that just has a big poster on the front that says "Visit our website, whatever it is"? Like, how do you do that locally?
For example, BrandSmart USA is a local company. There's not that many stores.
Right.
Why don't they go to online? On the contrary,
because they service.
Hold on the contrary, they're not online at all.
Because their brand, their company services a very specific demographic,
Okay.
right? That is not online, or maybe online, but less or so.
Okay.
Okay. And this is what I mean. What I said earlier, that it's a very specific demographic. Mm-hmm. Okay. It has a very specific brand.
Right.
It means something very specific to the end user. Whereas I don't think most businesses can have those three things going for them, where they can say, forget the stores. We're not doing a lot of sales through the stores anyways. We don't need it anymore. We've built such strong brand.
Okay, so then
let's cut it out.
Can then a small business create a brand on the web, right?
Yes.
Where they're beyond themselves, right?
Yes.
So let's say we work more with a product.
You see this on Instagram all the time.
Right. So you have a lot of products that it's local. People in your area buy that product, but you can build a brand on.
You see this on Instagram all the time. I don't know about the local side. Definitely on the local side also, but you see. I think it's Daniel Wellington. They sell watches, right? Like, in my opinion, their footprint online is much bigger than, I don't even know if they have any stores.
Right.
Right. So
William
you
Panther,
see,
the glasses company.
right. So you see a lot of brands who have started or have used like the online platforms, Facebook,
Completely.
Instagram, correct, and they become fairly big companies. But I don't think they have any brick and mortar footprints.
Right.
Right.
So
That platform lends itself.
A company going to launch, instead of figuring out how to talk to their local world or their local market, they should really figure out how to sell a product. If they're a product-based business, how can they put that product on Facebook and Instagram and so on?
I think that they should definitely try to do that, but it's also specific to their end user's demographic, right? Meaning, like, how does the end user find you, right? So every business has another process in which they get a client, right? So some businesses, like our business, our adjusting business, I think would be challenging to only be an online business, right? Let's say we no longer like had adjusters going out. I mean, there's some we could build an app. There's things we could do, but I think it would make it challenging. It wouldn't be a seamless transition.
But would the volume be there because of it?
There may be,
right? So
but
like
I mean,
let's say you couldn't offer the same amount of service because the homeowner's handling a lot of it,
right?
But you can charge less, but the volume's more. It'd be more McDonald's.
Possibly. I think our business is a little challenging because you can post a picture of a watch, on Instagram, and everybody instantly understands it, where people don't understand adjusting as well. So that makes it also a little harder to explain it to the end user. But if you're in a business where there's very little friction between you and what you're selling to the end user, you absolutely should be online. You got to be crazy not to. I mean, what's a big brand today that you know of that's not online? Today, it's cheaper. You don't need to spend all that retail space, that rent, that buying, whatever it is.
Do you think we get to a place where on Facebook where people buy a car through Facebook, a new car, because people are buying used cars on Facebook?
I think so.
I'm saying buy brand new cars right off of Facebook, Instagram,
I think so.
So on.
Absolutely. Like when we break
through
this
dealerships, though.
It doesn't matter if it's from the manufacturer, whoever it is. When we break this model of negotiating the purchase, and this is what the car costs, just kind of like the bottle of Coke costs in Publix or in the supermarket.
Right.
Then I think that lends itself to what you just described.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that is a great episode 31. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See ya.